I know this isn't exactly a breathtaking, groundbreaking video or anything, but not everything needs to be innovative, you know? And my videos are already slideshows anyways. Might as well make one specifically talking about what's being shown on screen, yeah? So with that in mind, how about a nice cozy video? Sit back, relax, and come with me on a journey where I talk about some of the Warhammer art that I think goes unfathomably, unreasonably, undeniably hard. Spoiler alert, there's just about nothing from the past 10 years that's gonna be on here. Recent Warhammer art is cool, but the classics are classic for a reason, yeah? And no, before you go ahead and make the admittedly understandable joke, I'm not already running out of content. I've got over a dozen do-or-don'ts left, and that's ignoring Total War. I am, however, being lazy. First off, I'm going with the big one. The artwork people look at and go, oh yeah, this is 40k. Or should I say 30k, because this is none other than the Emperor versus Horus on the Bridge of the Vengeful Spirit at the climax of the Horus heresy. Now this isn't the first rendition of this scene, believe it or not. It's actually this. But the thing is, I think this piece of art is awful. The Emperor looks fine, but Horus looks like he just stuck his cock in Fire Station Chili. But the later iteration most people know is just a masterpiece. The Emperor's armor design, perfection. Horus's armor design, somehow even better perfection. Almost everything about this picture is fantastic. Admittedly, Sanguinius is looking kinda goofy, like he just greened out or something instead of being killed, but it ain't that bad. Big floating eye. I love that eye. It's so menacing and unnecessarily evil. I wish the Horus heresy was still limited to some lore blurbs in this image, because everything in my mind is cooler than what GW has come up with. It's like how horror movies are scariest when they don't show you the monster, because what your mind comes up with is scarier than anything they can show you. The Horus heresy was at its best when it was barely being explained except by kick-ass art pieces like this. Moving swiftly on to my comfort zone of Warhammer factions, we've got some old Eldar art. I love old Eldar art more than I can put into words, because it has literally everything I love about the Eldar within it. Let's look at the first example. I like to call this piece Skittles Marches to War. Taking all of that color, just look at that line of fire dragons. There's an Imperial Guard armor division melting immediately off screen at this image. And the swooping hawks flying above while the dire Avenger poses heroically. It's like a mixture of Napoleonic-era armies marching to war in bright colors crossed with weaponized seizures. And it's representative of the tabletop, since all Eldar armies are like this. All the different aspects have different bright colors on themselves, showing who they are in their battlefield role. This piece both brings that across and shows just why the Eldar are the best. The next one is stellar for different reasons, because it brings across the Eldar as these fey, mystical beings that are almost unknowable. It's got those bright backgrounds that are simultaneously dark and foreboding. The warrior in front is clearly humanoid, but the proportions are wrong, inhuman. Their faces are completely unreadable. The classic Space Marine helmet brings across the image of an angry man, but this helmet prevents you from getting any kind of clue as to what the Eldar are thinking. I mean, admittedly, he's probably thinking about killing you, but is he angry about it? Is he sad? What thoughts lie behind that incredibly tall hat of his? It's this vibe that newer Eldar art is missing. Newer Eldar art captures them being space elves no problem, but they don't necessarily look fey. The new Eldar are going to be arrogant at me and cast some solid spells, but this guy is going to burn down every third house in my village because the spirits demand it, and that's kick-ass. But you know what kicks even more ass than that? Whatever the hell is going on here. I am so glad that there's two giant mechs up front, because otherwise I would have no idea where to start with this mess. Let's look at that Imperial Titan. It's massive, bright red, has huge fucking laser cannons firing at everything and nothing. Great. Right next to it is an orc pile of garbage that's got 50 different weapons and cartoon rockets on it, which are, funnily enough, firing more accurately than the Imperial Titan. And everywhere else? I have no idea, dude, but it looks like the coolest shit ever. And the towering hives in the background really add that 40k touch. They're not just fighting in an empty field, they're fighting atop a planet-wide city that's probably 10,000 years old or more. And you can probably guess one of the themes of the old artwork I like based on this and the last one, but I just love the massively colorful art pieces of old Warhammer. This one has damn near every single color of the rainbow in it. Blues and purples in the background, bright yellows and reds for the titans and vehicles. You've got greens and dark black shadows, and overall, this kind of art remembers that Warhammer can be colorful without losing its vibe. Sure, it's the grimdark future, everything sucks and everyone hates each other, but at least it doesn't look like an FPS from the early 2010s. But lest you accuse me of simply being attracted to shiny colors, look at this masterpiece of Eldar art. It's completely black and white, but still amazing. Although I think this is 2 pieces put together, but it's a single image on Google, so I'm counting it as one. Once again, the Eldar are more Fey than anything else in modern Warhammer artwork. There is some Greek influence among the Eldar, especially with the helm on the dude on the right, but also something that makes them distinctly non-human. The towering spires of the craft roll that juts out into space are very elven in style. The craft roll being depicted is definitely an alien structure, having an almost organic feel to it, which is a nice touch, since Wraithbone always struck me as something that's organic in nature, at least somewhat. Every time I look at old Eldar art like this, the arrogant flame in my chest burns ever brighter and reminds me that I am correct in sipping over these goddamn elves in space. But no video on Warhammer art can fail to include the Crimson Fists, portrayed in none other than Rogue Trader itself. It's got more color than none, but it's still pretty toned down in appearance. But who cares, this artwork doesn't need bright color to be amazing. The Crimson Fist's default state of being may be fighting a last stand, but by the Emperor do they look good doing it. Explosions and fires all over the place, some big thing off in the background stomping its way towards the fist to probably get obliterated by these badass space marines. One of them ripped the head off an orc and is throwing it like a stick grenade. I'm gaining muscle mass just by looking at this picture. But ladies and gentlemen, I cannot in good heart discuss old Warhammer art without going to the original Warhammer art. The original Warhammer setting, as it were. And to start off the journey into fantasy, let's start with what I think is the peak of design when it comes to chaos. Look at this man. Look at him, Chaos Space Marines, and despair, because you will never be as cool as this man, and he's just standing there. Just standing there atop a mountain of corpses that he presumably built body by body, and behind him the sky itself is burning with the power of chaos. Just being within 5 feet of him warrants a tetanus shot. Look at all those literally goddamned spikes. And of course there's skulls everywhere. Skulls on the spear stuck in the ground, skulls on the banners, metal skull on his kneecap, and I haven't even discussed his weapons. He has 4 of them. A massive lightning-covered sword, an axe that could probably saw through reality itself, and 2 daggers strapped to his waist. Well, I say they're daggers, that's probably a long sword for people like you and me. And everything I just said applies to this next piece as well, only there's even more Chaos Warriors. Props to this guy especially, look how excited he is to be here. Right off screen of this artwork, the single coolest thing you've ever seen in your life is either happening right now or has just happened. You know that joke about 40k where you need 3 hours to explain the bare minimum? Well, this is the exact opposite. Show someone this image and that's all the explaining you need to figure out what these guys are about. But you know me, I'm no chaos simp. No, I am firmly on the side of Sigmar's Empire of Man, and this image is the end-all be-all of Imperial artwork. Towering in the background is some eldritch horror beyond all comprehension, and on the left of this painting is an army of regular, plain humans who could not give less of a shit about it. You may say all that stuff about the guard holding the line, but they don't do shit. All they do is die so the Space Marines can come and save the day and have it be extra tragic when they barely make it in time. But the average Empire State troop? He looks at the demons of chaos, such as this great unclean one in the background, and just says square up. And then he wins. With nothing but faith, steel, and gunpowder does the Empire State Troop win the day, and this art piece shows that in spectacular fashion. And oh ho ho, is that who I think it is? Flying on a mighty griffin, wielding a weapon that glows with a holy golden light while regal plumes wave in the wind behind him? Oh, I think that is none other than Karl Franz. You know what? Screw it. Here's a collage of Karl Franz art. Is some of it newer and from Total Warhammer? Yeah, so I am breaking the rules a bit, but great art is great art, and there's some older classics to be found here. Just phenomenal, that Karl Franz. I'd bear his children given the chance. Have fun with whatever mental image I just put in your head. This next little category is also breaking the rules a bit because it contains newer artwork as well, from Age of Sigmar even, but it goes harder than almost all other Warhammer artwork. And this category is literally all pieces of art Nagash is involved in. This dude has yet to be in a single bad piece of artwork. Him looking like an old goofy lich? Bam, he looks awesome. Him when he was still a human from not Egypt? Boom, he's looking great. Him towering over a damned great unclean one and an entire army of Nurgle demons? I almost understand the appeal of NFTs now with this thing. I wish I could say I owned this. There's only a few guarantees in life. Grass grows, the sun shines, the scout hurts people, and artwork of Nagash is almost completely unrivaled. Next banger piece, some High Elves. I like elves. My next video is on the High Elves, this is no secret. And while I don't know if this is Tyrion or not, I do know that this man's jawline is immaculate. Gilliman must have taken some notes from this guy. You've got what I presume to be some white lines of Christ back there, and the rest of the elves are this sea of ephemeral beings that are almost made of starlight. That was the most elven thing I've said on this channel by far. But though fantasy is objectively better than 40k, I can't say that it has the best piece of Warhammer artwork ever created. No, no, no. That goes to a depiction of how Space Marines used to look in the earliest days of Warhammer. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the piece of Warhammer artwork that goes harder than anything else ever conceived. Look at that. This is the coolest picture ever. You got the background, a whole bunch of pipes and machinery that you can only imagine the function of. Bottom of the picture, some dude's skull is straight up flaming like Ghost Rider. He's very dead, but he's cooler in death than any of us will ever be in life. But even he is nothing compared to the single most 80s character to ever exist. The Space Marine that's front and center of the artwork. Look at this beautiful bastard, oh my god. His pose asserts pure power. His kneecap is coming up to his goddamn mouth because he is ready to spring into action at any moment as he climbs over the mountain of God knows what he's standing on. His weapon pointed directly towards the viewer because he knows the first rule of gun safety is to have fun. His left arm, who knows what this pose is, but I'm intimidated just looking at it. His helmet, a beaky, the best kind of helmet. It even has a shark mouth painted on it, absolutely spectacular. And beyond all else, the thing that would make this picture great, even if you took everything else away from it, is the fact that all of these Space Marines are Ultramarines wearing cool guy sunglasses that are built into their helmets. These aren't the Adeptus Astartes, the warrior monks of the God Emperor of mankind. These are Space Marines, power-armored cops in space here to tell you why drugs are bad and Tom Cruise is awesome. Absolutely spectacular. And yeah, here's a nice interim video talking about artwork. Don't really have much to add to it beyond this artwork is cool. I wish GW kept making more stuff like it. Their old art just had a certain feel to it newer art can't match. Maybe the newer stuff is more consistent or smooth or whatever artistic term you want to throw at it, but the old stuff just hits different. Thank you as always to my wonderful channel members. This video I cannot think of a stupid end joke to end on, so I'll just leave it at thanks. Truly. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe or become a member. Either way, thank you for watching and take care out there. Oh, I bet you think I forgot about this one, didn't you? Fear not, viewer, because there's no way I'd forget about Macragge's finest dancers. Look at those elegant moves, how even a still image portrays how smoothly they glide across the dance floor. That guy back there, maybe not the best dancer, but his hearts are in the right place and he is throwing it back. Space Marines really just were built different back in the day. Oh my lord. Is it getting hot in here? That's not just me, right? Shout out to Ronald Reagan.